My husband locked our daughter in the car, demanding I apologize to his mother after she deliberately infected our child with chickenpox. Mill deliberately infected my daughter with chickenpox. I can hardly type this out because thinking about it makes me so angry. Earlier this year, my husband, 31M, and I decided to spend Christmas with his family for the first time since my daughter was born last September. Since they live 12 hours away, we decided to stay for a few weeks before Christmas so they could spend loads of time with Annie, 13 months. We arrived early like we planned and everything was great. I've had a few disagreements with my mother-in-law Trish, 56F, in the past over my parenting style. She criticized me for using disposable diapers, buying baby food from the supermarket, and not raising Annie as an organic baby. But everything seemed great. After a day or two settling in my husband, and I decided to pick up a few gifts from a mall around an hour away before the last-minute rush kicked in. My father-in-law, 60M, tagged along. Trish said she was happy to take care of Annie. We got back a few hours later and Annie was down for a nap on a blanket I didn't recognize. Trish said one of her friends dropped by and gave it as an early Christmas gift. It looked pretty old/worn, but I figured one of her hippie friends was just recycling it. The next 2 weeks were fine, aside from Trish making a point to prepare meals for Annie from scratch. I mentioned this to my husband, and he said to just let her be. Annie mostly mushed the food Trish gave her with her hands/threw the bowls on the floor, as she's been doing at the moment. Trish said it would take her a while to get used to nutritious meals. I was getting sick of her meddling, but it was only for a few weeks, so for the sake of the holidays I let it slide. The day after Christmas, Annie was really unsettled and wouldn't stop fidgeting and crying. I took her temperature and she had a fever, so I kept an eye on her for the next few days, and it thankfully started to go down. This morning she started to get a rash and blisters on her arms and legs and I freaked out. I was packing a bag to drive to see a doctor when Trish asked where I was going. I told her Annie had a rash and I was taking her to see a doctor. She got a weird smug smile on her face and told me there was nothing to worry about. When I asked her what she was talking about, she said without even looking at Annie that what she had was just chickenpox. I asked her how she could possibly know that, and she casually admitted one of her friend's grandkids had chickenpox a few weeks ago, so she asked them to wipe a blanket over the child's arms, legs, and face and bring it to her house. At this point, I couldn't believe what I was hearing, so I asked if that blanket was the gift Annie was sleeping on. She said it was. I lost my shit. To be honest, I don't really remember what I said because I was up most of the night for 2 days checking on Annie. I just unleashed on Trish asking what the fuck was wrong with her. My husband and father-in-law came to try to calm things down and Trish dug in her heels and said chickenpox was the best and most natural thing for Annie to build up her immunity. I already have a vaccination schedule in place with my pediatrician and she was booked in to get immunized for chickenpox at 18 days. We drove to see the doctor and he confirmed she had it. He said I'll have to cut Annie's nails short and might have to tape socks on her hands while she sleeps because kids so young can scratch until they bleed and that will leave scars. On the drive back, my husband started making excuses for Trish that she was only doing what she thought was best. I couldn't believe he was defending her and we fought most of the way home until I told him to stop talking to me. Annie's been scratching like crazy, and I just had to tape socks over her hands. Trish tried to talk to me when we got back and I told her to get out of my sight. We were meant to stay until Wednesday, but I just finished packing up our stuff so we can leave first thing in the morning. I'm so angry I can't even think. Whenever I hear Trish moving around in the kitchen, my heart starts beating faster and I feel like going out there and grabbing her by the hair. I don't ever want to see her again, or let my daughter see her again. What can I say to make her and my husband realize the enormity of what she's done? I don't think I can speak coherently to their faces until Annie gets better. Update. Thank you to everyone for your comments, inbox messages, and advice after my original post. I read all the comments and messages, and they genuinely helped, especially the home remedies on how to stop itching. On to the update. I didn't think it would be possible, but things got worse. I got up first thing the next morning and started packing our stuff into the car. Once I opened it up, I kept the keys in my pocket since I was going in and out. Usually we use Jack's set and leave mine in my bag. While I was packing, he sat in the kitchen with Trish and my father-in-law, 60M, and chatted and had coffee like nothing was wrong. Annie was mercifully still asleep, so I just gently belted her in and closed her door when Jack came out and asked if I had everything. I said we were good to go as soon as he was Hess. He said okay and calmly took out his key set and centrally locked the car, locking Annie in. I asked him what the hell he was doing and he said we wouldn't be leaving until I apologized to Trish. I think I was stunned into silence because he then took the chance to rehash what he said the previous day, that Trish thought she was doing what was best, that chickenpox doesn't kill you, and that I was making a bigger deal out of this than I needed to and making Trish feel bad. Yes, making her feel bad. All the comments from my last post were swirling around in my head, and I told him he needs to stop being a son and start being a father. He screwed up his face and said he would always be Trish's son, and that was the point, that nobody should speak to his mother the way I had the day before. And I needed to apologize to clear the air. I felt like I had entered some kind of weird twilight zone, where I had accidentally married a 9-year-old, instead of an adult man. so I just asked him to open the car so we could leave. He repeatedly refused, then walked back inside and said he would see me in there when I was acting more reasonable. You can probably guess what happened next. I'd left my bag on the passenger seat, so he probably assumed my keys were in there. Nope, I waited 30 seconds, then just hopped into the car and drove away. My phone blew up with a million calls from him, Trish, and my father-in-law. Eventually my mom and dad and my sister Jess, who I'm super close with, called as well. I briefly texted Jess about what was happening the day before, but she was stunned to get the full blow-by-blow. By the time I was on the open road, I asked her to phone Jack and tell him he could walk home for all I care. Once she heard my side of the story, and not Jack's, which was apparently that I had gone crazy, frightened Krish, snatched Annie and sped away, she calmed way down. Mom, Dad and Jess offered to start driving and meet me halfway so I could switch with one of them and wouldn't have to drive the full 12 hours by myself in one day. I was so grateful to see them. I pretty much broke down in a truck stop parking lot while I blubbered that they all took turns driving while tying a rest. It was super reassuring to talk it over and hear that Trish and Jack are the unreasonable ones. Once we got back, I stayed at my parents' overnight, and they said I could stay as long as I needed. The next few days were fairly tense. I was up most of the night making sure Annie didn't scratch, which she did anyway, somehow, and it seemed like she just cried and cried and cried until she was exhausted. She has 5 scars on her face and a few others on her arms from scratching. I know appearances shouldn't matter, but I'm so angry her skin is marked for life now over some stupid bullshit. This whole thing is just something I never expected to happen. I answered one of Jack's calls only to have him start a rant that he didn't recognize this person I had become, so I hung up on him. He was due to come back for the start of the work year, which I wasn't looking forward to, but I figured we could make it work as long as Trish was 12 hours away. Then at like 11 p.m. one night I got a very short and formal text from father-in-law via Jack's phone, saying Trish had come down with shingles and was in the emergency room, that Jack was staying there to care for her, and that he would work from their house remotely once the year started back up. Jack's been there for the past few weeks, tending to Mama's every whim. I'm sure she's put on an Oscar-worthy performance of having one foot in the grave, and according to Google, it should be any day now that her painful, crusty pustules go gently into that sweet night. A few weeks ago, I was honestly so tired and overwhelmed and in disbelief that I didn't know what to do. Now I'm back at home with people who actually care about me. I think I'm starting to realize how lucky I am to see the weird relationship with his mommy this early on. The fact that he cares more about Trish than his own daughter speaks volumes. When he eventually comes back, I think we'll have to have a serious talk about our future together. Boyfriend shattered my phone because a homeless guy gave me a flower. My birthday was a couple of days ago and I haven't spoken to him since. I'm heartbroken about this. I was walking home with my boyfriend and we passed a group of homeless people. One of them said, "Here you go, miss you, since you're the first woman who walked by and gave me a dead flower." It was around 10 p.m. and my birthday was at midnight, so it kind of felt special to me. I said, "Thank you so much," and kept walking. My BF didn't say anything, so I didn't think anything was wrong. I took my phone to take a video of the flower and tell my friend what just happened, and he tried taking my phone. I was laughing and asked what he's doing and didn't answer, just kept walking next to me. He looked a little annoyed, but I still wanted to get a video with the flower, so I pulled my phone out again. This time, he hit my hand really hard and made me drop my phone on the concrete. My phone screen is completely broken. Luckily, it's the screen protector, but still, it's all shattered. I screamed, "Why did you do that?" And he took my flower and threw it on the road. He said that's what I get for embarrassing him like that. I was tearing up because 1. He broke my phone. 2. He threw my flower away. 3. I couldn't understand what I did wrong. He made me delete the video with the flower in front of him and we walked in silence the rest of the time. At home, I blew up at him. I was crying, screaming, asking him why he did that. Literally an hour before my birthday, he said, "How would you feel if a girl just came up to me in front of you to give me a flower?" I said, "If it were the same homeless woman that you see almost every day when you walk in your neighborhood, I wouldn't maybe. We have walked by this specific man plenty of times." He called me a liar, then said I was manipulative to try to invalidate his feelings when I was blatantly disrespecting him in front of other men. I don't understand how it's disrespectful. I wasn't even going to keep the damn thing. It was a dead flower. I just thought it was cool because that had never happened to me, especially 2 hours before my birthday. He said a bunch of stuff. Basically that I was an attention whore. I was sobbing. It was already my birthday and I felt like shit. We went to sleep without talking and the next morning he was gone. I had a brunch with my friends, so I had my mind distracted for a couple of hours, but it was still in the back of my mind. I still don't know who's 100% in the wrong here. Maybe I shouldn't have accepted the flower, but I honestly saw it as an innocent thing. He still won't talk to me. Even his siblings wished me a happy birthday, but he hasn't yet. I don't know what to do. I don't want to lose my boyfriend over a flower. Update. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for all the help. I broke up with him. To be honest, I still love him and I'm trying to cut all communication, because I know that if he contacts me again, I'll most likely go back. I literally made a list of all the reasons why he sucks and I try to read it every time I want to text him LOL. Here's the update. He surprised me with my favorite flowers and a letter. He wished me happy birthday and apologized for his reaction. He said he was being immature and it won't happen again. He said we should work on communicating each other's boundaries better. He also apologized for ghosting me for a few days. He said he just needed some time to cool down. Not going to lie, I just wanted my boyfriend back. So I accepted the apology under the condition that he will never do anything like that again. He swore on his life that he'll never make me cry ever again. I genuinely saw a shift in his personality. He was even better than when I first fell for him. Like one time we were cuddling and talking about our relationship. He literally started crying while professing his love to me. He said that he knows that sometimes he gets frustrated over little things, but it's because he loves me so much and he's terrified to lose me. He shared so many things about his past. He had never opened up to me before, so it really felt like the relationship grew stronger. We went to the beach as a little birthday celebration for me with his friends. We were 6 in total and I was the only girl. 2 other girls were supposed to come too, but they had work. I didn't know that until I asked one of the guys and he told me. Long story short, he got mad at me for wearing a bikini. He was like, "Weep, do I look like having my girl walk around half naked like a hoe in front everyone?" I reminded him that we're at the beach, and a lot of people wear bikinis at the beach. He said that it's different because I'm the only girl here with 5 guys, and it makes me look bad. I said I didn't care, and went back to everyone. After a little while, he pulled me to the side again. He called me names, said that one of his friends obviously wants to fuck me, but I'm too fucking dumb to see it. He said he overheard him. I don't think this is true, but ick. He was very angry, but also he had been drinking, so it could explain his irrationalness. I started crying, then went home because I didn't want people to see me like that. He was being so weird. I don't know why he was being aggressive all of a sudden. Like before the flower incident, he had never used that kind of language with me, especially in public. He came over that night to talk about what happened. I was so hurt. I honestly thought we had grown closer. We both explained our side of the situation. I told him I wasn't trying to get anyone's attention by wearing a bikini, and I can kind of understand his point of view. Beck was a little uncomfortable too, being the only girl there. He said I could have put my clothes back on, but I had to stay in a bikini. He said I looked like a hoe waiting to get fucked when I was laying on my stomach tanning. I can't really remember what he said after that. I was just so hurt. We were going in circles, so we decided to just go to bed. He then tried to initiate sex, which just pissed me off. I said no every time. I heard him say something about me being an annoying-ass bitch under his breath, and that was the last straw. I kicked him out and broke up with him. It wasn't easy. He was crying and screaming the whole time. He even punched a wall in my room. I was terrified. I never thought he could do that. We had never fought like that before. He finally left when I dialed 911 and threatened to call. I don't know why I still love him so much. I understand his reactions, knowing his past and what he's been through. And it's a lot, trust me. I know it's not an excuse, but it's still an explanation, right? Anyway, it's over now. Half of my stuff is still at his house. I don't even want to think about it right now. He's blocked. I am really trying to villainize him in my mind so I can move on. But it's hard when all I can think of is the amazing moments we shared, like how he was crying in my arms telling me he loves me more than life, the day he asked me to be his girlfriend, or the day he gave me a promise ring. Maybe I did go wrong somewhere. It's just so crazy to think that all of this could have been avoided if I hadn't accepted the flower. Also, I am very aware that I'm dumb for thinking that he could change so quick. I just wanted my boyfriend back. Thank you again everyone for the advice. Final update. Hey everyone. I think this is the final update on the situation. I'm ashamed to admit it. But I went back one more time. I know it was a stupid choice. It's hard to explain. It's like he has a hold on me. At first, it was just about the sex, nothing more. We didn't want to completely cut each other off, but I didn't want to officially get back together or start meeting new people, so we agreed this would be the best option. And for a while, it actually worked. After the 5th or 6th time, we decided to try getting back together, but to do it right this time. I laid out my boundaries. No yelling, no cursing at me, no hitting, no going through my stuff, and being respectful. I made it clear that if he crossed any of these lines, I would leave him. I told him I wasn't his emotional punching bag and that just because he's been through a lot doesn't mean he can take it out on me, especially since I've never treated him that way. He agreed to everything and shared his own boundaries with me. No yelling, being respectful, modesty, and not going through his stuff. I also read some comments about how punching a wall can be the first step to punching someone, so I told him that could never happen again. He agreed, and even booked a therapy appointment. He's really committed to self-improvement. Anger and impulsiveness are his only real issues. We both wanted this to work. Our anniversary is coming up, and I didn't want to break up right before it. Things were going fine until he sent me a TikTok of my post and accused me of exaggerating everything, basically calling me a liar. I'm attaching some screenshots because to this day, I still don't understand why he was saying all that. I got mad and called him, and we ended up screaming at each other on the phone. I felt like he was making everything about himself again and dismissing my feelings because he was embarrassed. He came over with my stuff and broke up with me. insulting me the whole time. I didn't want things to end like that, so I asked him to stay and talk. Long story short, we ended up screaming at each other again, and he broke my MacBook. I'm so done. Luckily, I'm not going to school this semester, so I won't really need it, but he still broke it. Like what the fuck? I'm reading the book that was recommended to me, and it's hard to accept that my boyfriend is one of those people. I'm glad he broke up with me. I know he's not good for me. He hates me now, and it's for the best. I know he won't bother me again, and I have no reason to talk to him now that I have my stuff back. I'm still learning a lot, like what love bombing is. I didn't even know that's what he was doing. I know I'm naive, and that's why I want to stay single for a while. I don't want to end up in this situation again. Thank you to everyone, especially all the women for sharing your stories, for helping me when I needed it.